Hello and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be pretty short because I'm experimenting with a new editing software that this video has been created on, if it works of course. But we're going to just be going over your forecast for the next couple of days using the NAM3 model. So if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. So here is the National Weather Service page, and you can see not much going on except for some red flag warnings in California. And I don't see that threat going away anytime soon, as California is expected to be hot and dry throughout the winter, which is usually their wet season, which is very unfortunate for them. The relief does not seem to be there. So let's move on to that NAM3 model and get into the Northeast forecast. So first up, we're going to start with the Northeast. So here we are, 5 a.m. and you can see that we have this little system here moving through Virginia and North Carolina that moves off the coast, delivering some snow here in Virginia and Maryland. This is kind of a failed attempt at a second nor'easter. Just doesn't really get that much energy here. Could impact more further north, but northeast not getting impacted at all. Now as we get into, this would be Wednesday now, we could see a little clipper start to set in here in the very interior northeast. I don't think that the major cities will see anything from this. So let's move on here to temperatures, and let's go back here to 5 a.m. this morning. So most of the area will still be below freezing throughout most of the day, and actually getting colder throughout the day too. As you can see, this is 1 p.m., 5 p.m., so probably the warmest that you get. Right, so most of the interior northeast stays above freezing. Warmest you get in most of these major population centers is high 30s, except for maybe a few spots in Virginia and North Carolina. But then you go full below freezing here, even into North Carolina, as you get into Tuesday. So yeah, let's move on here. I don't want that. Let's move on here to the southeast. So here we are, southeast forecast. You can see the system here moving through the very eastern parts of the southeast. Most of the heavy rain is in Florida, but that moves out throughout the day today. Maybe some showers, snow, and rain in the Carolinas, but by late today that should be moving off, leaving very few areas getting any type of moisture. But then you get this high pressure that builds, and that keeps things kind of dry over here. So let's check those temperatures. So going into this morning, relatively cold in some areas, but pretty toasty in Florida in the 50s and 60s. Once you get into like North Carolina, Tennessee, very northwestern Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and even into parts of Louisiana and Arkansas, could see those 30s, but generally 40s, 50s, except for the very southern portions of Florida, which could see 60s. So let's move on here to the high pressure and what that does. So you can see high temperatures for today, not much higher than your lows. But once you get that high pressure, you start to see some more fluctuations in temperature, both cold and warm, just depending on where you are. You can see here some areas in like Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi could see 50s and 60s compared to today. This would be tomorrow. So let's move on here to the overall east forecast, because those are the two areas that I really wanted to zoom in on for today. So eastern US. So overall here, let's look at temperature first, because that's pretty a big focus here. Most of the areas north of Texas, Louisiana, like the very southern Gulf states, most of them start below freezing here. Maybe some areas of the Mississippi River Valley, and some areas of Kentucky, Tennessee, and the Atlantic coast could stay above freezing. But as you get throughout the day, some areas warm up significantly here, especially in the Great Plains, where you could see this little temperature flip-flop that we're seeing right now. Could bring some cooler temperatures up here and set us up for our next snowstorm. But some areas of the interior Northeast not even getting out of the teens, as well as parts of the Appalachians and Ohio staying in the 30s. And you also have areas of the Great Lakes region staying in those below freezing temperatures as well. Now, for moisture here, there's not much other than that attempt at a nor'easter. Everything kind of clears out here. We have this high pressure, multiple high pressures as well, until you get that clipper system in the Northeast making its way through. So let's move on to the west. So the western US is pretty much dry early today. Once you get into later on this morning into the afternoon, you can see more moisture working into the Pacific Northwest, but most of the moisture kind of comes in here on Tuesday and starts working its way through that part of the country and into the Rockies even more when it comes into Wednesday. So that's pretty much it for this. The Southwest staying very dry, as is predicted. But let's look at those temperatures, shall we? So for low temperatures, you can see most of the mountains and interior parts of the west staying below freezing, except for the coastline and the desert Southwest staying above freezing in 40s and 50s mostly. Now, as you warm up throughout the day, you can see here that the desert Southwest and California stay pretty much in the 50s and 60s, except for the upper elevations. The northwest coastline staying in the 40s and 50s, but the Rockies here staying in the 30s and 40s. Some areas of the plains here in the west, kind of going off of this little boundary line, staying in the 40s as well. And we already talked about the Great Plains, of course. So yeah, that is about it for this your forecast in depth. So if you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. And that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.